vulnerability is a superpower. When you weave in your own personal experience to a teaching moment, it can connect and it can deepen. To be able to soften people's bodies, have a laugh, bring some levity to the moment, actually allows them to learn better. Math is fundamental to the universe, so everyone has it in you. Use it as an entry point to understand yourself more.
Guys, oh my God, hello and welcome to Math Therapy. Welcome to all of our new listeners. I'm so glad you found this podcast and so glad you're here. And that's why this week I'm doing two things. First, I'm beyond excited for you to hear this week's interview, which was very, very special for me. Second, I'm doing another giveaway for the new TI Evo during this episode, but this time there's a fun little twist. Now, before I tell you about it, I've got to explain why this episode is so special. You're going to hear from one of my best friends and one of the most incredible therapists I know, Amy Johnston. As you guys know, I have long been a believer that as educators, we are healers. And in order to heal to the best of our abilities, it helps to learn from other healers in their own trade. I mean, my book and this podcast are called Math Therapy, like therapy. And as we learn, we only grow stronger in being able to heal math trauma and help all students build healthier relationships with math. Amy and I explore how negative early math experiences shape identity and persist into adulthood. And we get into the nuts and bolts of exactly how it happens and, more importantly, what to do about it. Amy is insightful, genuine, and pragmatic and drops practical strategies for both students and teachers struggling with their own math anxiety inside and outside of the classroom. Like, you're going to be able to use these strategies right now, even though it's summer, to become a stronger teacher in the fall. You're going to walk away from this episode with a perspective shift and at least one thing that changes the way you see yourself or your students. And most of all, guys, you're going to walk away feeling more hopeful. I promise. And now, for the reason I know at least a few of you are here, don't lie, it's totally fine. I see you. This episode is sponsored by Texas Instruments, which means we are doing another giveaway. Okay, so in case you missed it, which I don't know how you could have because the internet is blowing up with this news, TI just dropped their newest calculator, the TI-84 Evo, and people are going gaga goo goo bananas for it. Like, we're talking Taylor Swift ticket pre-sale level cray, and I am here for it. Now, there are many reasons to be obsessed, but one of the things people are drooling over is the streamlined keypad, which features, wait for it, a dedicated fraction key. If you know, you know. You heard me, no more shift this or second function that. It's all there in its own key. Now, to celebrate, we are giving away an Oh My Math box, which includes a brand new TI-84 Evo with a 4-year online calculator license, a getting started guide, a calendar, and an absolutely adorable plushie calculator keychain in a mystery color. Now for the twist. How do you win this epic Oh My Math box? At some point during my interview with Amy, I'm going to share a code with you. And to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is text the podcast using the link in your app. Okay, there's a link that says text us. Use that link, text me the code, and I'll randomly pick a winner by June 26th. And just like that, the new TI-84 Evo is yours. Okay, are we clear? Are we ready? Are we pumped? I know I am, so let's get this show on the road. Amy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Amy is one of my absolute best friends and my free therapist because she is, well, I've asked her to be my therapist a million times, but it is apparently not, you can't.
Because I wanted to be your friend.
Right, exactly. And you can't therapize your friends for money.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
But because I talked to Amy so much about my own trauma and my own problems, I really wanted to have you on to talk about math trauma in the very skilled way that I hear you help me every day.
Okay.
So I know I was going to say how new is the term math trauma, but it's not because you hear me talk about it all the time.
I remember when I first met you and checked out your Instagram and saw you campaigning on the street about it. I was like, whoa, who's this girl? And I thought it was wonderful. And like so many people, even just when I tell them about you, it brought me to my own experiences. So,
oh my God, tell us about your own experiences.
It was just one of French and math. I struggled. I had to take applied, and that in high school, and that created its own challenge. I just felt really ashamed of that. And I was definitely a drifter. I couldn't stay in the moment. The thing that stands out the most is my teacher from high school. His wife had him on a diet.
Okay.
And he would give us extra points if we went and got him a Krispy Kreme.
Oh my God! What are you saying? Amy, what?
But he was actually so wonderful. So like this created like this like hilarious dynamic. And then also he was very kind. He would allow us to take the test home on the weekend and do it again. And anything that we got right, we would get half the points more.
Oh my God, he was really ahead of his time.
I really took advantage of that. And he was incredibly open about the fact that like it's stressful for people.
Okay, first of all, I'm curious how many Krispy Kremes he would get, like, on a period.
I mean, definitely one from me almost every day.
Oh my God. So, like, was his wife like, how is your diet not fucking working? Like, you're gaining so much weight.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like, the math is not mathing on that. I want to back up because when he let you take those tests home.
Yeah.
Did you cheat?
No, I really wanted to learn. And I also really cared about my marks. I went to an art school. You had to keep a certain mark to stay in the arts program.
Oh.
So it was like high stakes for everyone, all my peers.
What was the mark you needed to keep?
I think a 70.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I distinctly remember being in my own space at home, being able to make more sense of things.
This is so fascinating because that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it would have been like 2003, 2.
Which is so wild because we were so not doing that then. And it's interesting now. Like, I know you probably aren't familiar with all the things happening in math education, but one of the practices that I'm really trying to encourage and that other educators are trying to encourage is this idea of giving alternate forms of assessment because there was a recognition that in a classroom setting, in a time test, you are not performing at, you're not performing the way you could be performing.
Totally.
Right? Like, it's like your working memory is often hijacked, like your amygdala is like, whatever, like, right? Because that pressure takes over. So it's really cool that he was doing that. And it's also, I kind of want everyone to hear this because sometimes we're like, oh, if we give students the chance to retake a test or to take something home or whatever, they're going to cheat, right? They're going to, and it's really nice to just hear from you that you're like, no, like not every student is just trying to, walk their way into a good mark. Students at the core, like my friend Jamie Mitchell always says, we need to assume positive intent, right? Like students want to learn. I
love this. This is, I'll have to think more on my experience of that. When you were talking, it made me think math teachers, especially in high school, because that's when it kind of gets a little bit more focused, right? I think of them, other than this man, I can't remember his name right now, but I think of them as like very archetypically, like their identity seemed quite serious. And I think something about that also would set me off. I felt intimidated by all of them except for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think educators need to hear that.
Yeah.
Right? That it's like, who knows? Like, hindsight is not always 20/20, but it is in some respects. So it's like, I remember all of my teachers being like 100 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Whereas it's like, because you're seeing them in relationship to you, right? At that time. So it's like, whether they are serious or not, whether they consider themselves serious or not, there is this whole vibe that precedes the math teacher that I think we as educators have to be aware of.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like up to us to soften that.
That's interesting.
Now, I want to kind of go back to you being in applied in and of itself, set up an entire narrative. Question. Did you choose to go into applied or were you put in there?
I chose.
Okay. You chose.
Yeah.
So you chose to go into applied and you were saying that in and of itself created a story in your mind.
Definitely. Well, hopefully this has changed a little bit, but I think it just made me feel like I was less intelligent because especially what math and science, I'll say, like, is kind of seen as or was seen as. So that is something.
What were they seen as?
I think probably the classes that you really needed to have like a keen brain or like it was valued more or it was harder. Yeah. And I thrived in arts and writing and things like that. And I went into social work at a time that it was unusual to be an 18-year-old in a social work program. So it took me probably a decade after school to really appreciate like my form of intelligence.
My God, I'm just sitting with this of like, I say this all the time of it is the math courses, especially that we associate with intelligence. Like, even though it's bullshit, like we just like made it up. Like why, like I personally think like writing an English essay is the hardest thing on the planet, but like we call it, it's like part of the arts. Like, do you know what I mean? We take it less seriously. It's like somehow seen as like easier because it's more subjective. And like, we are so focused on calling the people who excel in mathematics the smart ones that even if you're like a very gifted writer or artist, right? Like how hard is it to like create art? Like anyways, this idea of hardness and difficulty is interesting.
Yeah. Well, it as you're saying that made me think of like it trickled into my experience with music theory too, because it was like kind of this combination of like, I suck at all that. And it just, I think what you said earlier about like the overwhelming, the new way of, I guess, approaching this with kids really makes sense. Like something about the pressure just made me go offline in my mind.
Do you still consider yourself someone who's like anxious around math now?
Yes.
Like you run your own business.
Yes, I run my own business. I will say like to me there's a little bit of an intersection of money. Like so I think I've noticed like tax season has been historically a stressor for me.
Everyone stop right now and go listen to the episode I released a few weeks ago called Why Smart People Still Feel Out of Control and What to Do About It. All I'm going to say is go where I literally start the episode having a full mentee bee around tax season.
Right.
Like I have an actual meltdown.
Love it.
So this is the perfect, okay, keep going though. So, cause this is really important what you're saying.
Yeah.
Tax season all of a sudden triggers money, and money is related to numbers, which is related to math.
Yeah. Well, and I think
people.
I feel like my own leaning towards taking on, let's say, sitting in my discomfort as I'm doing my taxes on my own and really trying to do it without my partner's support or anyone's support. Like it does feel like there's an element of gender as well that I can only speak to on a personal level has been like my own motivator. I don't want to be a woman, an adult woman who can't take care of that stuff for herself.
I mean, so it's like, you don't probably even know this, but this is what so much of my research is on. And it's everything your experience is completely validated by research.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It feels good, right?
Yeah.
To like know that. And that's like, I think that's why it's important to like talk about this stuff because we feel so isolated. Like it's like some whole weird thing that we can't explain, but it's like, this is all validated by research. There's a very gendered nature to women feeling this sense of out of controlness related to finances that when we dig down is often related to a math trauma that took place. It's often related to feeling less than in a classroom. By the way, I went to do a school visit last week. So I went to go visit schools and check out like the math therapy vibes in their classrooms because a lot of these teachers had done math therapy book studies. So they were using the strategies in their classrooms.
Cool.
Went to an AP calculus class. So that is like students elect to be in those classes. Like you don't have to take calculus to graduate high school.
Right.
There was 2 girls in the class.
Wow.
There's 2 girls and 18 boys. So even to this day, the gendered nature of math ability persists. It is not, there's so much research that shows it is not because women or girls are less capable of math. They self-select out of math when it is no longer necessary because there's a million messages that tell them they don't belong in that classroom.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I just want to say this is such a thing.
It's bringing me to a lot of places in my mind. It's
oh my
really,
God, like where?
I think it's just like, I really, like a big part of my work and self-exploration is looking back to those moments. I think actually this conversation is helping me realize that teacher had a really softening effect on me.
What's his name? I should find him. I wonder if he still teaches there.
Maybe he does. He was a lovely man. He was funny and lighthearted, and he didn't take himself that seriously, but he was brilliant. So even just thinking about his expression of masculinity, let's say, was really playful. But yeah, it's making me emotional as you're talking. So I know that this is like, I would like to do some exploring of my own history.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I love when someone sets me up for a perfect segue and you've just done it. Like this is going wait till you guys see how skilled this is. So we're talking about the gendered nature of math here. And what we can also talk about is anytime I go to a math conference, especially if I'm in a session, an elementary session, math conferences are mostly attended by elementary educators. It's not like there aren't high school teachers there. Of course there are. There's principals, there's high school teachers, there's coaches. They are largely elementary. And I would say a math conference is 80% women.
That's interesting.
Yeah, most of the teachers are in the room are women because most elementary teachers are women. Okay, we can probably find a stat on this. Dave, fact check this for me.
I see. Okay.
I don't even need a fact check. Like I know this is true, but I'd like to know what the actual numbers are.
Yeah.
But most elementary school teachers are women, but all elementary teachers have to teach math.
Right.
Now, you don't know this, and maybe some of our listeners don't if you're not an educator. To be an elementary teacher, you do not need any math university courses. To be a high school math teacher, you do need to have taken math at the college university level. Okay, so it's not like there aren't women who are high school math teachers. There are. But think about it this way. All elementary teachers have to teach math. 0 of them need to have taken math post-secondary.
Wow.
And 80% of them are women. So what we now have now, and then given our conversation, we know that it is very likely to have an experience around math trauma, which we're going to unpack in a second, to have an experience around math trauma at some point in school or when you're younger. So now we have these classroom teachers, these elementary teachers, 80% of whom are women, with anxiety around math that probably in many ways there's a gendered component to it.
Right.
And they're having to every day get up in front of their classroom and teach math, this subject that they do not feel 100% confident with.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is something I did an episode with Heidi Sabnani a couple weeks ago, literally about this, called Anxious About Math. You might be the best person to teach it. And we talk about teacher math anxiety. It is one of the biggest issues in math education and one of the least talked about issues in math education. And I'm really excited that we're going to talk about this now because we are working really, really hard to prevent math anxiety or to mitigate math anxiety on a student level. But these poor teachers with their own math anxiety are the ones tasked with doing it.
This is amazing. This is actually helping me understand your work in a really cool way.
Yeah, I mean, this is all about me at the end of the day.
It's phenomenal. Okay, so
I want to really now spend some time talking about how we help teachers, how we help these adults who, because you don't teach math, but I mean, now that we're digging through your past history, it's like, there could be someone just like you who had this exact experience. Like, let's imagine it was you who had this experience of like, in high school, like you're in applied math, you had this great teacher, but you've already now developed this story about yourself that you're less intelligent than everyone else because you had to take applied math. And now you're in an elementary classroom teaching math to these kids. And A, maybe you're not 100% confident with the material. And B, you're petrified that you're like, fuck, I don't want to make these kids anxious about math.
Yeah.
So how do we help these teachers? Like, what would be, like, let's imagine you had a patient, like you had a client, or what do we call them, clients? You had a client that was like, oh man, I'm really struggling. Like I really want to make sure I do the best job for these kids, but I'm anxious around math. I don't know how to get over my own math anxiety, but I also don't want to traumatize these kids. Like where would we start?
This feels like it ties into something that I support almost every client with, which is to see the moments in your present day that kind of like rhyme with your past or is like some form of like a traumatic recreation, which it sounds like it would be for a lot of these teachers that have to teach something that was overwhelming for themselves, is like that's actually a moment of opportunity. It's like a really like sacred moment. So I would encourage entering into like that semester or that school year as like something deeper is going to happen that year because of the challenge.
Oh my God, I love this. I love what you just said about a sacred moment. So right away, we're reframing this moment. Tell me if I've gotten this right. Instead of being like, oh, fuck, here I go again. Yeah. The stressful thing, I'm just going to try to get through. Instead, your energy around it is, okay, here I go. Yeah. I'm entering a sacred moment of potential healing.
Yes, because I'm hearing there's two things available. There's their personal journey that's going to be activated, and there's their opportunity to be a change maker for the kids. So
nailed it.
I think when it comes to, let's say, interacting with your students, I mean, this is something that I think can be really valuable for all elements of life. But like when you weave in your own personal experience to a teaching moment, it can connect and it can deepen. So I would suggest like maybe saying the quiet part out loud, like right away from the first day of class or throughout, to name your own experience of it being challenging for you, whatever it is, right?
What could that look like?
I mean, it could look like my Krispy Kreme story, like what's a real anecdote. And you could even try and like playfully think beforehand, like what was my own personal challenge? And like, don't make it too much. It could just be like that same little callback comes throughout the semester. But again, I think that there's probably like, if I was supporting a teacher, I would bring it into like what's going on for them as they enter into that lesson, and what are they noticing, let's say like on a body or thought level.
Okay, guys, I am so sorry to pause this amazing convo, but I have a very good reason, because I am here with your top secret code for the TI Oh My Math Box giveaway. Okay, the code is I Love Fractions. All you have to do is click the link that says send us a text in the show notes of whatever app you're listening to this episode in. Send the words I Love Fractions and you'll be automatically entered into our giveaway. Okay, let's get back to the app. First of all, I love this because I talk about this all the time, the idea of vulnerability as a superpower as a leader.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, you are a leader.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teachers have been taught that like they need to pretend that they feel like amazing about math.
Right.
And they can't possibly speak of their anxiety because it's going to like be contagious or something. And that causes its own pressure of like, now not only are you like stressed about this thing, but you've got to pretend you're not stressed, which we all know how that goes. Right? Like that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So let's back up of like a teacher being like, okay, when I go into the classroom, like I'm just so petrified. I'm going to make a mistake on the board, or a student's going to ask me a question I don't know an answer to. And I start like freaking out.
Well, okay. So, you know, a strategy, like just, you could think of it as like you're narrating that moment. Like, let's say if that moment was muted and it was in a scene in a movie and a narrator was speaking over top, like what would the narrator say about the teacher's experience to help the audience understand? And then just like bring that out of yourself and tell your students. Pause yourself. So like, wow, I'm really noticing I'm stressed right now. This is reminding me of my past. Or, hey, does anyone notice like I'm fumbling here? And that could be like actually the more powerful moment of the lesson for the kids and for themselves. What do you think of this?
I'm obsessed. What I'm thinking is I'm so pissed we're not like, I can't post this clip on Instagram because we don't have any video. But I'm also like, this actually sounds like such a fun rom-com strategy.
I love narration. I think I do it for me. Like when I feel distressed, like even yesterday I was driving to come visit you. I wasn't in my own car. It was like a little bit much for me to be like all this kind of shenanigans that happened on my day. And I was like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. And so I just started like, if this was being narrated, it would be like, it would refer to like my challenging week. It would like maybe call back to like what I've been going through this year. You could even say like what previous scenes of your life, if it was a movie, would need to be like flashed and shown for the viewer to understand the moment you're in.
I am obsessed with this.
How have I not woven this into our own personal therapy?
I know, I'm like, because I'm like right now thinking about a lot of situations where I'm like, oh my God, I should, like our music industry stuff, it would be so great to be like, okay, this moment is triggering you with this band, flashback to this scene when we got totally screwed up. Like, first of all, it's making it a lot more fun. Like, I'm seeing it as a comic strip. Do you know what I mean? Like, where you could like cut and paste scenes.
Yeah.
What I'm also honestly, Amy, thinking is this would be such a cool activity to do with students. Like,
totally.
Make a comic strip that led up to the current way you feel in math class right now.
I love that.
Like, this is so fun. But because this is about the teacher, and I want to stick with the teacher because they don't get the attention, I really like this idea of pausing, creating that little comic strip just to, first of all, get some perspective. Because I think a lot of teachers are also like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just get it together and teach this lesson? And it's like, well, hold on. if you were going to narrate this moment, like the viewer would be like, of course, this isn't about getting it together. Like all of these things have led up to this moment. This moment isn't in isolation. And what I also love the most is the idea of then narrating it to the student to contextualize the experience, because not only are you humanizing the moment for the student who probably feels the fucking same way.
Yeah.
But you're also taking the pressure off of you to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like now you and the students are all on the same page. And you can be like, okay, guys, yeah, I'm fumbling because, oh my God, let me tell you guys a story about this teacher and how I was put into applied. And other students will be like, oh my God, I feel the same way.
Love this. And I think this is where your work is so powerful to that field, because I think what we can know is like to be able to soften people's bodies, have a laugh, like bring some levity to the moment actually allows them to learn better. So it's not like I don't know, you could tell me if I'm understanding this, but it's not like the field of math needs to like really buckle down on the practicalities. Like you got that. That's set. But what needs to happen to like bring it to more people is to humanize it. And so it's like almost like this paradigm shift of like, let's front load the lesson with that to make sure every lesson has that so that the rest can kind of flow.
How do we get you in a school today? Like get into a school. Oh my God, we should like go on tour together.
Good, totally.
How much fun would we have?
Love this moment for us.
Oh my God, because like we could even just, okay, so anyway, so let's get back to, so we're narrating the experience. Strategy number 1, narrate. Yeah. Narrate, be vulnerable, front load with a narration.
Yeah.
Bring, like make your experience visible for the audience, right? Great. What else can we do?
I mean, as we're talking about this, I feel like we're kind of toggling between the teachers are landing a little deeper in my heart, because it's like probably they're always getting suggestions on how to improve. But what I'm hearing is actually they're going through a moment of their own activation. So I'm just like, I think something that came to mind that feels like it's more for the students is this came up actually when I used to work with medical doctors, and it was like this idea of naming directly that the doctor, because of the system we're in, the doctor has to be the gatekeeper to some of your health journey. They need to sign off on things, etc. This was particularly when I was supporting people for gender confirmation surgery. It's like, here we are in this system that exists this way. I have knowledge and I need to say yes to the things in order for you to feel like you can move on and have the things in your life. So in math, it's like, in order for you to feel like because math is so woven into like our personhood, me and my taxes, it's like, it's a thing you need. I think just naming the word gatekeeper, maybe deconstructing that for younger kids, but like, I know that I'm the person now that is having to give you this information, but like hopefully empowering kids to learn it in other ways. Is this making sense?
Well, this is like so deep. Like you just said so many things that I'm like, oh my God, like I think you've touched on like 30 things I want to talk about, but I really do want to dig a bit deeper into this gatekeeper idea. Tell me if I'm understanding. Are you saying that like it is useful for the educator? Like the comparison to the doctor is like the educator has to be the one to be like, I'm signing off on the fact that you passed. Like that you know this concept. Yeah. Also them being like, they also had a gatekeeper, many gatekeepers in their life who had to sign off. So like the reason that teacher might not feel competent or confident is because they didn't get the sign off they needed from somebody in their lives. But now they're playing this role for somebody else. Right.
And just again, it's like, shine a flashlight on that and name it. Of course, we have to continue because we're all in this system. So the teacher does need to give you the pass or fail. But if the teacher can acknowledge, like I do this sometimes with my clients where it's like, I think it can be really destructive for people to not think that a therapist or a doctor has their own challenges. So I'm not going to spend the time sharing that, but I might say and name like, here in this moment, there's like a power difference. But this isn't the only place where you can explore this part of your identity. Wow. And, like use this, you're in the driver's seat of your life. If I didn't have that teacher that gave me that opportunity to do my tests at home, I might have an even more challenging time sitting down with my taxes now. But like, thankfully I had a gatekeeper in that grade 11 or whatever it was that softened the experience. So I think, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm going a little bit meta with this, but
I love it though, because I do see the connection. I actually think in a way it's like reparenting almost in a way, right? Like for the teacher to be like, okay, I didn't have this, but I acknowledge that it played a role in how I feel about math.
Right.
I can now play this role in my students' lives of being like, yeah, fine. Like we are in this system. And I talk about this all the time of how hard it is to do this work within the confines of the system. Because you do have to pass, fail, you have to give them a grade. You have whatever. But there are these windows and these moments, just like you had with Krispy Kreme teacher, I guess we're just calling him that, where it's like he softened it a bit. And you still remember that. And I think this is so important for teachers to hear is like, your students are going to remember these moments. Yeah. It's like, it could always be worse and you're going to make it better. Even if it's not the ultimate, maybe they don't all get 100%, they don't all get A's, but they're still going to remember these little moments. And it's going to soften the trauma. It's going to soften the anxiety. It's going to be a potentially corrective experience. So to get up in front of students and be like, hey guys, I get that this can be kind of rough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, like there are grades, there are assessments, there are things you have to learn, but I see you. And this is part of the work I do too, of being like, what opportunities can you find to show students and yourself as the teacher that you are doing math in so many empowered ways that you have a unique take on, right? Like math does not just exist in the classroom. It's not just in the textbook. It's just not just on the paper. So when we can acknowledge that for our students and in ourselves, it can just be empowering and release the holds of that gatekeeping, I think, a bit.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
So now we have a teacher at the front of the room. They're doing the narration. They're like, okay, this is sick. I feel like, my vulnerability is actually helping me like enter this moment a little more safely. They're reliving their own gatekeeping experiences and redoing it for their students. And now one of the things that can help teachers feel less anxious and help all of us feel less anxious is knowledge, right? Knowledge is power. And they're like, oh man, there's a lot of teachers who are like, fuck, like this, every time I get this fractions lesson, or they have this opportunity to teach another grade and they're like, no, I can't. I've got to stick with this grade. And now they're thinking, I don't know, maybe I do want to learn some of this content that always like gave me the ick. Like I want to and there are lots of incredible educators out there doing the work of reteaching mathematics in a more empowered way. How do we get them to take that opportunity? Even though they're like, oh, the last thing I want to do is learn more math. I'm scared I'm not going to learn it. Like, how do we step into that?
This is, again, I think, touching on something that I feel like it would be like my biggest thing. If I had like a microphone to the whole world, I would try.
You do kind of right now, actually. That's what the internet is for.
Like, I think challenge is the moment of opportunity. Challenge is sacred. So I'm thinking about this family and several families that I've supported, but one particular where we talked about how the mom really faced a lot more intergenerational trauma than her daughters. So if you think of like the teacher and who were those teachers? You had it worse in a way. Like this was not being talked about. And so part of what I'm thinking in this moment is like this analogy of like a snowball rolling down a hill and the teacher is like stopping it so that the next generation doesn't get blown over by the avalanche. That pressure in your body of holding it back, like holding back the history, like I'm going to kind of digest this moment rather than recycle it and have it happen to the younger people is like so brave and truly like how we evolve as a collective. So I think it's part of like, it's a person by person, if we can actually see these moments where we're triggered as, again, the moment of opportunity to digest what wasn't before us digested.
Like the snowball has sent me. That's the moment. You're right. You're holding up the ball rolling down the hill. And I really love this framing. I just want to pause. Like this is the quote. The challenge is the opportunity.
Yeah.
It is a sacred opportunity.
Yeah.
For a corrective experience.
Yeah.
And also I'm just like, how we have spent so much work trying to impart that message down onto students of being like, productive struggle, like the struggle is the thing, like it's process, like, but the way you said that the challenge, it's not that that's the good thing or it's the learning moment, it's the opportunity.
Yeah.
And for teachers, it's the opportunity to stop that snowball rolling down the hill.
Yeah. And it's, and by doing that, you are evolving your own personal life, which I think is like so important for teachers. I mean, you know this way more than me, but like that's a form of deconstructing this, like the devaluing of that role is like for us to even be naming this right now and saying like, this is a massive service that you're doing. And it's not just for the kids and for society. It's also, it's making me think of, I'm on a big Carl Jung kick, but I'm learning about, he believed that the first half of life is in the external world. So the kids are in their external world part of their life. And it's about tending to that so they can have these experiences that then they, after 40, they go inward with it. So the teachers are having their inward experience in the classroom.
What? Wait, what? Say more about this.
It's like the content from their past is being activated in that moment. Mm-hmm. So I think like the summary is kind of the same recycled statement here of just like, when you're triggered in the classroom because as a kid you had your own stress, seeing that as like a log on the fire internally to burn something that like is about your own life path. Like if every person had their own personal mythology, trying to understand like what math and your own history, let's say you're like, you went into teaching because you really love music, but oh no, here I go, have to go into this math class for this semester. Like what was it about what was happening in your childhood around the time when your particular math anxiety or trauma started? And so like perhaps at the end of the math class that day, taking a moment to think of like, how is this transforming my inner experience? Does this make sense?
It totally does.
Okay.
It's deep, but it makes sense, right? Okay, so again, let's see if I understand it actually. To me, it's like creating a more holistic thread instead of looking at a math experience in isolation, to look at a math experience as part of your personhood. So I'm hearing you kind of be like, you're in the math class now, present day, and things are coming up, things are maybe being triggered, you're having some things come up, you're maybe repairing them in the moment, you're maybe being vulnerable with your students, and to take a minute to be like, back when I was 10 years old and having this math experience that gave me the ick, what else was going on for me as a human being? I was making new friends. I was at a new school. My parents were fighting at home. Like I was like insecure about like, I don't know, my new bangs or whatever. And now like just to be like that math experience in grade 2 was a piece of an entire person. And now looking at the person I am now, how does this new math experience tie in? Wait, now I'm confused. Am I right? Kind of?
Yeah, I think if we could boil it down, it's like,
let's boil it down. I went off. I lost myself.
I took us there. But like, I'm seeing, like, I'm trying to think of like a teacher and how much they have on their plate, and probably it's a big ask to make this a meaningful moment. But if it is intersecting with your own wounding, to carve any kind of moment that feels like it's stepping inside of yourself rather than having it be only living in the external world. The kids are in their external. You're going to use your words and speak and share stories and help them with their behaviors and their learning. Something is simultaneously happening to the teachers, and that could look like a hand on your heart, or it could look like maybe taking some time to talk to someone who gets it before the semester starts, and that's all it is. Could be like, if you really wanted to have this fuel your personal development, it could be like some kind of ritualized experience pre and post class or pre and post semester.
I think we have to look at our math experiences not in isolation, but as a part of our growth as human beings. So whatever happened back then, like using air quotes, was a part of our growth as a human being. And now we are in the classroom, however many years later. Yeah. And to realize that our responsibility is not just like at all costs, you're just serving the kids. It's I mean, I think it's the classic thing about teachers. Like, as we teach, we say this about just math. The best way to learn something yourself is to teach it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we can translate that to the best way to learn yourself, to unlearn and relearn your story of yourself as a mathematician or a doer of math, is to teach that to someone else. So in teaching and providing this beautiful experience for students, you're also providing that experience for yourself. And we need to take a moment and honor that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sort of make sense?
Absolutely.
I think it is that adage of like, we don't think about it this way, but if a student was like, what's the best way to relearn this material for an exam? We'd be like, go teach it to someone else. And the best way for you to rewrite your story as a learner and doer of math is to teach a new story to someone else as well.
Beautiful.
And like, I always say, like, I think we're talking about this in different words, but in the same way. Like, my big thing is celebration. I'm like, if you have a single moment where you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, or oh, I did this thing I didn't think, or I made a mistake on the board and I didn't have a meltdown, like, pop a fucking confetti cannon.
Right.
Like, that is a moment.
Right.
Like you said, hand on heart. Like, that's a moment to be like, holy shit, like, look what I just did. Don't just run by that moment.
What's like the common thread between the teachers that you meet? Like, what, picturing them listening to this, like, is there something we've missed?
Well, if you're listening to this right now, we want you to text the podcast.
Okay.
Like, is there some, so Amy is one of my absolute best friends in the world, so we can have her back on anytime. So if you have questions about this, tell us, is there something we missed? Is there something you want to hear? Is there something you'd like to ask her about? Is like, please text us. You can find the link in your show notes. So do that. And then I will say to you, there's, you know, when I talk about math trauma, which is literally defined as a negative experience with math that sticks with you long after it's over, right? Like, I like how you said it earlier, like a distressing event that has stuck with you.
Yeah. There
are so many types, right? That can take shape in the way it did with you. Somebody being in an applied math class. It can be being bullied. It can be being yelled at. It could be just feeling like you're being compared to everyone in the room. It could be being compared to a friend or a sibling. It could be an undiagnosed learning difference. When I talk to teachers, because I do this work with teachers, they will cite a lot of these things, right? They'll say, oh my God, and then there was this teacher who made me feel so stupid. A lot of it comes from other teachers. It comes from parents. It comes from the peers. Like, there are a lot of ways in which you can have a distressing experience in mathematics that sticks with you, especially if that thing is repeated, right? Like, over and over again happens. And the way that manifests in the classroom is being really scared and anxious and going into fight, flight, freeze when you're about to teach a lesson.
Right.
Another big way it happens is we have all these beautiful new instructional practices, right? Like, for example, your Krispy Kreme teacher sending that test home. We have all of these practices we're trying to encourage now, like giving students multiple times to write a test, or teaching math in a different way. And a lot of teachers are just too scared to try it because they're like, but what if, like, I understand this one way of teaching math. I'm going to stick to it. Because if I try this other way, it's going to threaten the entire foundation of which I stand, right? So, like,
the foundation
of being like, I understand this. I'm too scared to try to teach math in a different way or teach fractions by this different method. Because what if I don't get it? What if a student asks a question I don't understand? Right. At least if I just stick to the script and the way I've been taught to teach it, I don't have to feel those feelings. So I think you've touched on this beautiful thing of the feeling of those feelings. That challenge is the opportunity.
Like, if they fumbled and if they were able to say, like, oops, didn't do that right.
Yeah.
Or I have to, go back to the drawing board on this lesson. That's actually the bigger takeaway. Could be a bigger takeaway.
Could be the bigger takeaway.
Yeah.
And again, I was in a classroom a couple weeks ago that I watched a teacher make a mistake. We were doing some factoring and he made a mistake. We all saw the mistake and students were like, hold on, isn't that number supposed to be -7? And he was like, what? And then he clued in and was like, oh my gosh, oops, yeah, totally was. Good catch. And I was like, what a beautiful moment.
Yes.
Right? Like, in those moments, but again, if you are carrying your own math trauma and you have an insecurity around math, that moment is so threatening because you're like, they're going to find out I'm an imposter.
It's like an unmasking of like so many people in society right now. I love hearing this.
Pause. Sorry, you can't just make a statement like that.
Well, it's just like it's like this. What you've been talking about around the vulnerability as a superpower, and this is so interesting, right? Like it lands as more confident.
100%.
We were talking about this yesterday.
Yes.
Lands as more confident when you can name your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Or again, narrate or bring out the truth of what's happening in the inner world of like, oh, wait, I didn't get this right.
Yeah.
That's a way to be a bigger. And again, like it does bring me to the patriarchy because I'm like, this is deconstructing.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it all comes back to it.
It really, really does. So teachers are amazing.
But sorry, can you just finish the patriarchy thought though?
Well, one of my favorite sayings comes from one of my favorite decks of cards that is like, don't be the coconut, hard on the outside with mushy inside. Be the avocado, strong at the core and yielding outside. I always wanted to get an avocado tattoo.
Oh my God.
So I think of the patriarchy as the avocado. It's like, what is going on inside of the mush of it all?
Wait,
it's
no,
like,
the patriarchy is the coconut.
Sorry, the coconut.
Yeah.
The coconut. And so, I don't know. That's where my mind went.
I think that's it. I don't think anything else needs to be said. I think that's it. Be the avocado.
Be the avocado.
Be the fucking avocado. Everyone loves avocado.
Yeah.
It's very trendy these days. Be the avocado. What a beautiful, I mean, I could talk to you forever.
I know.
I think this is such a perfect way to wrap up. And I mean, I am thinking so many things and I'm really excited for people to hear this because you've given us some actual strategies teachers can use right now. You've given us some strategies that leaders and coaches can use with the teachers they help. Like these are really practical. And I just think it's going to be, I just think that's it. The challenge is the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your anxiety and past traumas are yielding to a sacred moment that is happening for you right now. And I think that reframing of instead of going into it with the energy of avoidance and resistance is the opening of being like, all right, I'm in. I'm surrendering to this sacred moment. Let's see what opportunity it presents. And that's all you have to do.
Beautiful.
Okay. We are wrapping up with the final 2 questions I ask everyone.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds. It's not a time test. You have as long as you want, but like you don't have to. Question number 1 is if there's one thing you could change about the way math is taught in schools, what would it be?
Oh my. One thing I could change. I mean, this is probably people say this probably a lot, but like make it practical. How the hell will I be using this? That's why I checked out. I was like, this is not my path. But I sit down to do my taxes every year and it stresses me out. So yes, that.
Well, we could. I don't know why we're not teaching people how to do their fucking taxes.
Yeah, or save, or like what are the like we just renewed our mortgage. Like that was a full
I still don't get
lesson.
my mortgage. I still don't even know what the fuck's going on.
I know.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, love it. Make it practical. All right, number 2, if someone listened to this whole thing and they were like, yeah, I get it. I get what she's saying. But I honestly just think I'm not a math person. What would you say?
Oh, wow. I would say that math is fundamental to the universe. So everyone has it in you and use it as an entry point to understand yourself more.
What a beautiful way to put it. That's so nice. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Okay, and that's a wrap. That's it. That's all she wrote. I mean, okay, guys, I really want you to text the podcast. So I feel like I'm going to leave this. I don't even have a million things I wish I'd asked. So we want to hear from you. You have Amy. I was going to say you have Amy at your beck and call. That's actually not true. But I could probably convince her to be back on the pod.
Definitely.
Send us your questions.
I mean, is Amy not the most amazing? I'm sorry, guys, she's my best friend. You can't have her. But you can learn more about the amazing Amy Johnston by heading to the show notes and finding out more. We've got links in there. We've got some info about her. And guys, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening past the TI giveaway, which I know a lot of you came here for. And I know you probably could not stop listening to this episode because Amy dropped so much knowledge. And I would love to know what your takeaways are. So feel free to hit that text us button again and let me know what your biggest takeaway from this episode was. Did it change your perspective on something? Did it give you a little bit of healing? And did it give you a little impetus to try something new this summer? All right, next week I will be here, same time, same place, same channel. In the meantime, you can join our Facebook group. We're almost at 500 members. Just head to Facebook, type in Math Therapy, click join, and you'll be let in. It's an amazing community of people supporting one another. You can find me on Instagram at The Math Guru. And you should know that this episode was produced by the one and only David Kochberg. And while I was recording the intro and outro, there were construction noises the entire time. So if you can't hear them, that's because David is awesome. And I should also tell you that the music you're listening to right now is by our band. Me and David have a band. It's called Goodnight Sunrise. So look us up, stream us. Maybe it's like your new summer soundtrack. Okay, Love you guys. You're amazing. You're awesome. Thank you for all the work you do. You are making a difference. And thank you for listening to this during the summer months. It just shows how dedicated you are to doing the work, because you are a teacher through and through. You are a healer through and through. And I just think you're the best.